Hi, this is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum, together with Church Governance Solutions. As I've said this, we speak about some skills that you need as you start off this year to become successful. Very, very important that we embark on this, and this is part 3 today. And please, you may revert back to part 1, part 2, but today we continue with part 3, and I hope that will help you as you do so. This year is going to be successful based on your decision to become successful, based on some skills that you develop before you start off this year, because that's very, very important. And I've mentioned yesterday that there's no good year, and neither there is what we call a bad year either, because it's only the decisions that you make and also the choices that you make in the beginning to shape up your skills and to embark into the year with the skills that we're speaking about right now. The first skill that I want you to embark on right now as you move on to become a better person this year, to be a successful person this year, is ability to adapt, ability to improvise, and to overcome obstacles. And that is one of the key abilities that you need to develop. Some of the key skills that you need to develop this year if you're going to be successful. And I want to urge you that you start developing the skills and become successful this year. I don't want you to be sitting on the 31st of December 2023 and start regretting of the year that has been. But the year that has been is the year that is to be right now. And that is why we're speaking about this, skills that you need to develop. Because that is very important that you develop them. They are going to help you. And you're going to become a better person when you develop them right now. And be able to walk through these particular skills and use them this year and become a better person this year and become successful as well. And as I say, ability to adapt, ability to improvise, and ability to overcome obstacles, because you are going to meet obstacles, of course. And I want you to be aware that you're going to meet challenges in this world. You're going to meet challenges this year as well. And you're going to say, yes, problems are going to come. Surely they will come, and you're going to meet them. But it's going to depend on how able are you to adapt, because there are situations that you're going to need to adapt to them. There are going to be those situations that you need to look at and say, there's nothing that I can do, and therefore I need to adapt to it. Because if you are a crying baby in this life, you're not going to succeed at all. You're going to be challenged because challenges are part of life. And as you are challenged as part of life, if you are a crying baby who cries of every situation, you will never be successful at all. This year, you're going to find it difficult for yourself. You cannot sleep and not wake up. You cannot sleep and not face the world. You cannot sleep and decide, I'm not going anywhere because I'm afraid of challenges. Challenges will come, whether you close yourself in a closet or not. Rise up this year and show up. This is very important. So therefore, develop an ability to adapt to situations, because there are those situations that are actually extremely above your ability. So therefore, because of that, you need to adapt to them and make sure that some of them you improvise, because there are situations that you need to use some other ways to approach them, some other ideas to approach them, some other learnings to approach them. And sometimes you need to use your own experience in life of things that you faced and how you dealt with them. How you deal with situations. You might have dealt with situations, of course, in the past year, but I want to urge you that the very same skills that you've dealt with situations last year might be applicable this year to deal with. And some of the learnings that we learn from others, our own friends, colleagues, people that we work with, and thus some skills that we can learn from other people to adapt and therefore also to improvise with those skills so that you can be successful in your life. This is very important because obstacles need to be overcome. But I want to mention also that it is not the only one way of overcoming obstacles. Sometimes the mountain in front of you, you may not need to be approaching it and fighting it. You may need to climb it up. And when you are trying to climb a mountain up and you're not able to climb up over the mountain, you might need to go around it. Because there are some mountains that you don't need to climb them, of course. You need to go around them. There are those mountains that you may not be able to go around them, but you may be able to move that mountain. So the same with problems. And I want to urge you today that you must understand that this year, some of your problems you're going to need to remove them. Some of the problems you may not be able to remove them. Along the way, you may need to go around them. And some of those obstacles that you may not be able to go around them, you may be able to climb over them. And that's very important for you to understand that there are those challenges in life that are going to need you to approach them differently. And that is why I'm actually emphasizing the fact that you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to improvise sometimes and to be able to overcome problems. And I want you to be a strong person in this year, because this is a year that is going to be a year of challenges. And we have had several news and analysts all over the world that are speaking about the climate that we're going to be facing, of economic climate that we're facing. That's going to be a challenge this year. Financially, it's going to be difficult. There are those that are struggling with employment as well. But I want to emphasize that every single obstacle can be overcome. But it can be overcome in a different way. Of course, as I've said, some of them you need to move them. Some of them you need to face them head on. Some of them you need to go around them, and different ways of doing that. And I want to urge you that please make sure that you develop some ability to adapt and sometimes to improvise and to be able also to overcome those obstacles. That's very, very key. And I'm emphasizing that because it's something that is very key this year as a skill for you to be able to conquer in this year. The other skill that I want to impart on you, that you develop for this year, in order to be successful this year, is ability to read, to understand, and to memorize. Ability to read, to understand, and to memorize. Why? We're speaking about the reading, memorizing, and understanding. Is because there are those things that you're going to need to be reading in order to understand how to get around. There are those things that if you cannot read, you're going to struggle to get around. And there are those situations, of course. And I remember my own situation. One day I flew overseas and I arrived at an airport. That was during those years when self-service at the airports were just starting. And I thought I'll get somebody who will check me in, somebody would actually check my luggage in. There was nobody at all. It was self-service. What helped me is ability to read, because I could read, I could understand, and I could memorize. And that's very important. Now, there are situations in your life that you are going to be faced up with. And some of you might be driving in very complex places. You're going to be driving maybe in very, very complex cities where you don't even know where to go. And it's only going to be your reading, ability of reading, to know where you're going. But also, I must emphasize that we are living in days and years and climate of internet, whereby information is on our fingertips. And I'm sure you realize that most of the things are actually in our fingertips, because they are on our mobile phones, they are on our gadgets, and all these gadgets are actually bringing information right in our closet. And that's going to be very important, that when you are able to read, therefore you can be able to see things that you are being informed in. You are able actually to get information and seeing that information in you. But it's very important as well that you don't just only read, but ability to understand. Because some of the things, if you don't understand them, you've read them, they may not be able to help you. Because remember that information is actually dissected into a way of you understanding. And if you're not able to understand information, you're not able to use it. And that's very important, therefore, that every single piece of information that you read, be able to understand it. And as you understand it, please memorize it so that you can be able to use it again. And therefore, these are type of things that you're going to be faced up with. And I'm sure you realize that things have actually become a bit more digital right now. And if you're not able to read, you're not being able to understand and memorize, you're going to struggle actually in the years that we're living in. And particularly in times that we are facing up right now. And I'm sure you realize that the banking system as well is more digital now than ever. There's no, there are fewer tellers actually in front in every bank right at the moment. But I want to tell you, in a year or two, you're going to see no banking in a bank building. So it is going to happen right on the tips of your hands. And that's very important, therefore, that you learn how to read, you learn how to understand and how to memorize. Because this type of information is galore everywhere. We meet information everywhere. We hear information everywhere. So, but reading, ability to memorize, and therefore ability also to understand the information is very key. And that is going to be very key for you this year. And I want to urge you, please make sure that you are able to read, you are able to understand, and to memorize. I want to end up here today. Your host, Micornus Phokane. I want you to also remember our socials as well. So please like our Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, our Facebook page, Church Governance Solutions, and the one that speaks about Young Men Empowerment Forum. They will help you. And make sure that you also follow our YouTube channel, which is Micornus Phokane, and therefore subscribe to that YouTube channel. And we believe that every video that we post, you'll be able to get it, understand it, and learn from it. May the good Lord bless you. Allow me to say cheers for now.